heard a very prominent musician one time say something about running up and down the fretboard all polished. You know, that's something to that. Because I'm probably one of the lousiest players you're ever going to hear. Or maybe I might end up being one of the best players you're ever going to hear. Oftentimes I play things that are not polished, simply because whenever I try to polish something, like my nails, I will play something, and the more and more I play it, for the life of me, beans in a can, porridge, they just seem like if you play it once or twice, or more than once sometimes, they just don't want to cooperate. They have a mind of their own. They don't want to cooperate. It doesn't want to cooperate. It's a conundrum of boredom. Well, I'll tell you, a lot of the times I'll start to play something and it takes control. And they do what they're told because it's like I'm taking dictation in a way. The ideas start to formulate and flow, and these just have to do as they're told. And when you try to tell them on more than one occasion to do it over and over again, it seems like they all of a sudden get bored and they say, hold on just one cotton picking minute. You got me doing the same thing day in, day out. Reminds me of this job I had when I was a young chap. I was an apprentice tool maker. And they had these little things they call clutches. All day long, I was drilling the same hole, size hole, and tapping, putting a thread in that hole for a screw to go in, to lock this clutch on a shaft. And after a certain amount of time, you became zombification, zombified. And then the bell rang, and then you zipped out to get a break, a cup of coffee and a sandwich, and you came back into the world of zombification. Maybe that's how they feel. So unless they're given a variety of things to play, they just, all of a sudden, they seize up and they don't want to cooperate. So, you have to keep it interesting for them. So when you make yourself all polished, it's canned after a while. I mean, it's my thoughts on the subject, and my feelings and behavior. So there's a lot of, I don't know, how to put it nicely. Saw a guy playing this other guy's licks. Well, first of all, you're not going to be able to put anything out there and not have people imitate, take. And I saw this fella. He's really going to town. It's like a little buzzsaw. Great, fantastic. It's a bit too fast, though. And I thought, hold on. Is any of that you, or are you imitating someone else? This is because you're doing a pretty good job of putting a lot of time and effort into delving deep into what this other guy spent pretty much a lifetime in doing. unless you were with him 24 hours a day. Because the big picture, the star on that poster, at the end of the day when he goes home, he's in his basement or his garage or his attic. And what he's doing is he's filing his frets down, and he's changing his tuning pegs, and he's ohming out his pickups, and he's adjusting his pickups, and he's changing the capacitors and the tone knobs, and he's ohming out the potentiometers for the volume and the tone knobs. And he's just like, hey, how do I get this tone out of here? What is this bridge going to do? What's it going to look like? And the music seems to take like a secondary back seat. Well, not a passenger, a back seat. And at one time, I'm sure the auspices of technical theory, if any at all, came into play. But it does in some people. Excuse me. And then he needs to find out. Well, I know that's partially what I got involved in, is looking at the colors. Oh, pink. Pink. Shell pink. Excuse me. The fingers wanted to do what they wanted to do. Actually, the mind wanted the fingers to do something a little bit differently than they were used to doing in the past. So it came up with spontaneity, spontaneous way of generating some new tones, old tones, new tones. I find that when I tune my guitar, it all seems to be coming out the same way. But you polished. You know, you can't put anything out in the world. You know, you put your baby out in the world and it comes home and it's saying stuff that you didn't tell it to stay, or give it permission to stay. You just picked it up from outside the world. That's when you put your babies out there. People pick up your babies and they do things with it on the contrary to what you'd expect them to be doing with it. And thus, they say imitation is a form of flattery. Flattery? Is that what they say? What I'm saying, but I'm sure there's something in there that makes sense. Sure, it's been said before, but through all of this, you want to believe that in the end, you come out sounding like you, sounding like the guy you got up in here. And all the playing and the manipulation of the tone knobs, you want to believe, you want to hear, and you hear it back, and you think, oh, that's what I sound like. Well, and someone comes along and they say, hey, you sound like, and that just they say it throws you for a loop, it knocks you on your caboose. Well, if you consistently play licks that someone else has contrived, you're going to sound like that person. But the bottom line is, you listen to a lot of these interviews, and that guy says, he plugged into my amp, and I expected him to sound like me, but he just sounded like him. There must be something to do with the individual component that you place in the formula. The formula. You ever hear a band play, and then you hear one of the musicians goes off and he records his own album, and then you hear that album, you expect it to be similar to the group album, and he just sounds completely different? Well, in a way, but you can hear him. And then when you listen to the album, you could hear him in the album. But it wouldn't be the album if the formula that they put together accidentally formulated a certain je ne sais quoi. I can name names of people, but then that would be pointing fingers, and I don't know what pointing is something that they say isn't very polite. But I hear a guitar player and a singer sing, and then I hear the guitar player sing, and it doesn't quite sound the same. By himself is not so much, but with it's one and the same.